December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Have you ever stopped to think about how one moment, maybe a huge miscalculation, can just completely change everything? Like a single event, maybe born out of sheer desperation, ends up sparking a world war and reshaping, well, the entire globe. Today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly one of those moments, the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. Our goal here is to really pull out the key nuggets, the important insights, maybe some surprising facts from the sources we've looked at, give you a kind of shortcut to understanding this massive event. So we'll look at the years leading up to it, the rising tensions, then the attack itself, how meticulously planned it actually was, and critically, the consequences, the ripples that spread out, often in ways nobody expected. Get ready, because some of the details are pretty dramatic.
Yeah, it's such a stark example, isn't it? A brilliant tactical success that turns into, well, a complete strategic catastrophe in the long run. And what's really fascinating is digging into why. Why those decisions, which maybe seemed necessary at the time, were so fundamentally misjudged in terms of their ultimate impact.
Okay, so let's set the scene then. To really get Pearl Harbor, you've got to look back before 41. Japan, through the 1930s, was pushing hard, expanding militarily across Asia. We're talking Manchuria in 31, and then the invasion of China in 37, a full-on war.
Right, and the U.S. wasn't just sitting by. They responded with economic sanctions, trying to put the brakes on Japan's expansion. But the real hammer blow, the one that really squeezed them, was the oil embargo. That was July 1941. Japan got most of its oil from imports, mainly the U.S., so cutting that off, it was a direct threat to their entire war effort, their whole ambition.
Absolutely. It's like trying to run a modern army without fuel. Japan was desperate. They needed oil, rubber, tin, things like that to keep their campaigns going, especially in China. And sitting right there in the middle of the Pacific at Pearl Harbor was the U.S. Pacific Fleet. From Japan's point of view, that fleet was the main obstacle, the biggest roadblock to securing what they called the Southern Resource Area, places like the Dutch East Indies, Malaya, the Philippines, rich in the very resources they needed. Removing that obstacle became, well, almost an existential priority for them.
So the question became, how do you neutralize such a powerful force quickly and decisively? And the answer came from Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto. He was the commander-in-chief of Japan's combined fleet, a brilliant strategist, really. He was the architect of this incredibly bold surprise attack. His objective, pretty clear: disable the U.S. Pacific Fleet, knock it out of action long enough for Japan to sweep through Southeast Asia and the Pacific, grab those resources, and set up a strong defensive perimeter before the U.S. could recover.
And the planning, the preparation, it was incredibly detailed. That's one thing that often surprises people. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. They trained relentlessly. And they had to solve some tricky technical problems, like the torpedoes. Pearl Harbor is relatively shallow, right?
Very shallow for aerial torpedoes.
Yeah, so standard torpedoes dropped from planes would just dive straight into the mud. Useless.
Right. So they actually engineered special wooden fins to attach to the torpedoes. It stabilized their descent, allowed them to run true in shallow water. A pretty ingenious adaptation, actually.
A crucial modification. Plus, they had spies gathering intelligence on the ground in Hawaii, reporting ship movements, harbor defenses. Very thorough.
All that planning came together on December 7th, 1941, the day Roosevelt would later call a date which will live in infamy. And the key, the absolute key, was surprise, total surprise. What's kind of mind-boggling is that there were potential warnings. U.S. radar detected a large group of aircraft approaching that morning.
But it was dismissed.
Yeah, dismissed, maybe thought to be incoming American B-17s or just, radar glitches. For whatever reason, the alarm wasn't raised effectively.
And on the ground, the situation almost couldn't have been worse for the Americans. The aircraft at the airfields like Hickam and Wheeler, they were parked wingtip to wingtip.
Right, in neat rows. Easier to guard against sabotage that way, was the thinking.
But it made them perfect targets for strafing and bombing. Just sitting ducks, really. A terrible irony.
The attack force itself was huge. 6 aircraft carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, Hiryu, Shokaku, Zukaku, launching 353 aircraft in total. Fighters, dive bombers, torpedo planes, and it came in 2 distinct waves.
Okay, so the first wave hits.
When
Around 7:55 a.m.
Just about, yeah, 7:55 a.m., lasting till maybe 8:40. This wave had 183 planes. Their main targets were the airfield to destroy the American planes on the ground so they couldn't fight back, and, of course, the battleships lined up on Battleship Row.
Ships like the Arizona, Oklahoma, West Virginia.
Exactly. The Arizona took an incredibly devastating hit. An armor-piercing bomb, modified from a naval shell, punched through its deck near the forward magazines.
And it just exploded.
A massive explosion, instantaneous. Killed 11,777 men right there. The ship was utterly destroyed.
And the Oklahoma
Took multiple torpedo hits very quickly. It rolled over, capsized, trapping hundreds of men inside. Over 400 killed on the Oklahoma. Just horrific scenes. Then came the second wave, starting around 8:50 a.m., lasting till about 9:45, another 171 aircraft. This wave went after some of the remaining ships, cruisers, destroyers, but also focused heavily on shipyard facilities.
That infamous day was followed by days that showed our nation's greatest strength. Americans who were once divided were now unified. The United States of America would prevail due to sacrifices made by military members and the support of the American people. We remember December 7th, 1941, and the lessons that echo through history.